dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation. Here is your host, Derek Pearson.
A Monday boom here from one-on-one on 93.7 The Ticket as we get going here. At least I think it's Monday. I can't tell what day any of these days are. Once you get a few days off in a row, you have no clue what day it is. But I'm fairly certain that's the case. And also fairly certain that Nebraska is going to have their last opportunity to play some football here in just a few days. So plenty to talk about, especially with the news over the weekend or over the last few days that Kyle Whittingham will no longer be coaching the bowl game for the Utah Utes. He's off to Michigan. So we just got a lot to break down here. I'm Jake Bachman, Austin Orman in studio with you. DP on a plane. He's heading to Las Vegas. I think he wanted to get there a little bit early. He's got some extra money in his pocket. He wants to go gamble. No, I don't know. But, there's plenty of festivities going on down there. Austin, how have you been able to kind of keep up with Nebraska? I saw Matt Rule on a zip line down Fremont Street. There's all sort of hijinks that you can get done there in Las Vegas, and seems to be they're having fun down there.
It had me picturing a zip line over O Street. Just that little
cool,
bit of I don't know. Let's say like where are we at? So we're at the corner of 11th and O. Like 14th to 16th in there, 13th to 16th somewhere in there. Zip line over that. I do like zip lines.
Have you read them?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes. Not many, but wife and I went down to Branson and did the zip line down there. That's as exotic as I've gotten with my zip lines. But will not do roller coasters. You can sucker me onto them, but do not like it. I'm not going holding on for dear life. Like those free fall towers. No, thank you. They like spin you around. Not doing that. Zip lines. Now I mess with
zip lines. You're a zip line guy.
Lines.
Yeah. That is interesting. What do you think about Ferris wheels? I've got to.
Ferris wheels are fine because they're
Ferris
slow.
wheels are awful.
Really, they're awful.
The one in Shields. Have you done that one?
I've not done the one in Shields. I've done the one on the pier in Seattle a couple times.
Oh, okay, well that's a better.
Ferris wheels are fine. I think number one because they're slow. Generally, they're enclosed, right? The open air ones have me a little nervous, but as long as they're enclosed, I can deal with it.
Yeah, that's where I could do it. And it's nothing against the one at Shields. They run it every day and people do fine. It's actually better in Shields where there's not wind or anything like that
Right.
as opposed to an outdoor one.
But that's my thing with roller coasters. People do it all the time. They're fine. They're never any issues.
Yeah.
But my time is going to be the one issue. I'm not going to chance it. I'm not going to do it.
That's what I feel. Just like every time I get up there on the Ferris wheel, you just get to a certain point and you're like, you remember, like, I'm not God. I can't fly. What am I doing up here? This is ridiculous. Just for a small thrill momentarily. And it's not a thrill for me anymore. I'm just scared.
Is there even a thrill on a Ferris wheel because it's so slow? Like, is the view the thrill?
I
Maybe
think
looking out
thrill.
over Puget Sound in Seattle, maybe that's a thrill. But like, what's the thrill of the Ferris wheel in Shields?
I think when it's done, that's the thrill for me. Because and my son loves it. He's 4 years old. He's done it since he was like 2 or whatever, whatever tall you have to be. I don't know exactly when he passed that. But in any case, so I was like, oh yeah, fine, I'll do it. And I'm never going to do it again. At least a couple years to where I could say, well, maybe last time, but this time, yeah, I'm not going to do it again. I'm surprised you're a zipline guy. I think not sure if I've done a professional zipline. I can't remember, so I would assume not. But.
I don't know why I'm a zipline guy, but of all things, it just sits right with me.
Yeah.
It's fun. I don't know, maybe it's the posture. I mean, I wasn't like Matt Rule, like, full Superman or anything. Don't get me wrong. Like I was still nervous enough, but I'll never do skydiving. You're not getting me to jump out of a plane. I'm not going cliff jumping.
Yeah.
Now, some of those like wingsuits might be kind of fun.
Those look cool, but
I don't think I'm doing it. I'll say that for the pros.
Well, they got those like indoor skydiving or whatever, where you don't have to jump. They just kind of. I might do that one. That seems safer.
Right, because you're what 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that would work for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, at least Matt Rule and in Nebraska's kind of having fun down there. Of course, mixing it up with different coaches kind of coming in and different folks rotating in as well. I saw Dave Tollefson, former defensive end for the Giants, kind of helping out there, which is interesting because
I knew I'd heard that name. I forgot where it came from.
yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
it's very strange because he's I mean, I don't know, probably a couple handfuls of former NFL players that I've talked to. He's one of them, oddly enough. A long time ago, when Brett Kane used to work here, he had an in with him. So he'd call in like every week for a small period of time. So I thought that was weird. I completely forgot about Dave Tollefson and saw him back there. So that's good for Nebraska here, too. But again, like I said, the biggest news from what we've missed from what we weren't able to talk about was Kyle Whittingham. Of course, the bigger story there is taking the Michigan job. And we can talk about that here in a little bit, too. But as far as affecting the Utah job, the Utah game, I thought it was interesting because a lot of people, okay, this is kind of getting out of hand. Utah's clearly not at full strength. Are they even going to want to play? What is their first game of their coach that's stepping in? So it's like, I think it would be, very important and big for them to start on the right foot.
Oh, absolutely. The motivation piece, I get it, but it is kind of lame to me as well. Maybe it is Utah in a bowl game it doesn't want to be in. Yeah, they're down their head coach, but not like Morgan Scalley hasn't been there for a while. Not like he doesn't know how to run a team. And really the only opt-outs I think we've heard of for Utah Bach are the NFL tackles, right? Maybe a defensive guy
defensive lineman as well.
And the 2 tackles and D lineman. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, if you're Devin Dampier, you still got plenty to play for, I would think, right? If you're one of the running backs or receivers, I think you have plenty to play for. A defense that was okay in the regular season. Here's your chance to shut down what's kind of a scuffling offense right now in Nebraska. And obviously the motivation for Nebraska is there, right? There's a lot of players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in some respects playing for a job next year, right? Playing for that next contract, if you want to call it that. I know we don't love to talk about it, but plain and simple is the reality now. Defensive coordinator Rob Arick will be there, if not coaching in the bowl game. So you got to put good tape on film going into the offseason. If you're a young defensive lineman, you got plenty to prove. If you're the Nebraska offense, you probably didn't perform the way you wanted down the stretch. Okay, you have a chance against a team with a pulse, a team that went 10-2 in the regular season, to say, yeah, this is what we could have been. We left some stuff out on the field, maybe plenty of yards and points out there for us to go get. Now's a chance for us to make it happen. And then you get to the big picture headlines of 7-6. Does that really feel like progress? Maybe that's more from the fans than from the players' perspective, but I'm sure that conversation has crept in. I'm sure there are plenty of people in that building that thought they might be a little further along than they showed, no matter what their head coach is going to say at the podium. He can say they're on schedule all they want. Okay, that can be your opinion. We can agree or we can disagree, but 7-5 regular season, that's a half step up from last year. You ended at 7-6. Yeah, it's just a bowl loss. It doesn't matter. You can write it off. You still won one more game in the regular season. But I think Husker fans, Bach, would really rather not have to rely on that caveat and just get to 8-5 and say, hey, you beat a good team in a bowl game. It's in them. Now let's translate that into regular season success.
Well, and I think, too, it just kind of builds what you're working toward, right? I mean,
yes.
if you get 8 wins this year, then 8 wins isn't good enough next year. If you get 7 wins this year, then okay, it's a tougher schedule. If you got out an 8-win season, and there will be people that argue one way or another the schedule, and it's going to come out and play out as true necessarily. Maybe if that happens, we don't know. Again, the schedule stuff. There's definitely, it's like recruiting. There's something to it, but don't go all the way into it because, as we know, Penn State was supposed to be the big game, the unsurmountable, immovable object for Nebraska this year. And by the time they got there, well, they still couldn't move them, but they weren't the team that we thought they were going to be. Now there are 3 teams that are in the playoffs that are on the schedule next year, and again, that's going to be something that's hard to argue with a more difficult schedule. But in any case, it is. I think it's huge for Nebraska. I just feel like it would feel bigger maybe if we felt more of an opportunity to win the game, if that makes sense at all. Utah just, again, with these bowl games, I think part of the problem is, and I don't know how much you've been paying attention or getting excited about the bowl games as opposed to the past, but the matchups haven't been as enticing, and part of that is, of course, a bigger college football playoff, and then the Notre Dame's opting out. It's like, okay, who are the teams that were most interested that just on the outside that didn't make it? One of them is Notre Dame, who decided not to play in a bowl game. And another one, and I hate to say it, but from just kind of an appeal of all the bowl games. Utah could have got, we had a ranked matchup in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Mhm.
Utah's one of those teams just on the outside, so it's not an attack on Nebraska. It's just the bowl system altogether is that's one of the, when you have a 12-team playoff, teams 13, 14, and 15, and I know it doesn't exactly go like that, but those teams should be playing each other. Those teams should be, but you've got all these, obviously deals with conferences and tie-ins and all that. But it's just, I think it's such an odd bowl game. And Nebraska hasn't been to a bowl game outside of the Pinstripe Bowl last year, for several years. So it's almost like this kind of jumping back into, something and feeling like it should have the feelings of old. And there's some of that there, but it's such a strange altogether situation. Because like you said, too, I mean, last year, the Boston College game, the nation's leader in sacks opted out.
Yeah.
This year, the Outland Trophy winner is opted. And then on Nebraska side, a first-team All-American running back. Like, it's just so odd. It's just so different. I was thinking earlier, if Utah loses this game, should they move down in the rankings? I don't really think so. I wouldn't think so.
What do the rankings even mean at this point anyways?
Right.
Because the college football playoff is all but done with rankings. Is Tulane moving down in the rankings? Who cares at this point? Is James Madison moving down in the rankings? Who cares? A&M, whatever. You had your shot. You missed it. Oklahoma, you had your chance. You missed it. Maybe for those games. But at this point, why don't we just do a final college football playoff top 12? Put the first round 4 losers in some order down there, then the next 4 losers, and then the final 4 in some order. Just rank them how you see fit.
If only James Madison should be among the top 12.
Hey, they're going to end up there. Dang it, they're going to end up there. They deserved it. They belong there. I mean, honestly, justice for my beloved Duke Blue Devils, who should have been a college football playoff participant and would have given Oregon a game. But that's another story for another day. Just the concept of bowls now, Buck, seems weird because I think if you remove yourself from the situation, you come at it with fresh eyes and say, hey, after the year, don't really get people excited. Let's take the Big Ten and the SEC, whoever doesn't make the playoff, and we'll just match them up and they play an exhibition game, just to see what it would be like. Which conference is really stronger? We can measure it that way. And maybe we can give it a sponsor. Maybe someone's really excited about this game. They want their name on it. And maybe we can send them someplace special to play this game. Maybe a middle point in between. Hey, cool. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's a bowl game. No, I don't want that. That's no fun. Why would we do that? But I get it. Like the conference tie-ins, I think, are what makes it weird. Because I think, right or wrong, people clamor for Big Ten versus SEC, right? But you don't just want the ACC and the Big 12, attached at the hip. And that's the best you can get it is you too. I still think there's a lot of fun, a lot of value in seeing how different people across the country are playing football and are coaching football and seeing opponents that you don't normally see. In fact, if we're getting away from tough non-conference scheduling and we're just going to, give a couple group of 5 games or 3 group of 5 games and not schedule Power Fives to not ruin our chance to get into the playoff, I think it's even more fun in the postseason, except we've really devalued that. The other thing I think is really taken away from that matchup is that conferences are so gosh dang big that some of those names lose their novelty. It was really interesting for me in middle school, in high school, seeing Nebraska, play Georgia, play South Carolina, play USC, play Clemson, right? Those are teams Nebraska never sees. But think about how fun, like a Clemson Cal Gator Bowl could have been. It ran, hey, never see you. You're new. This is fun. Let's play some football. And now you're conference game.
Yeah.
That just takes so much of it out of it. Like Nebraska USC in the Holiday Bowl. That Nebraska team's outmatched. Bo Pelini was out the door. It was an interim coach. What did they have to play for? That was a really fun matchup. And now we'll see it twice every 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is obviously there needs to be a reframing in my mind of the bowl setup. And again, it's not necessarily good or bad. And I get your kind of take too, especially because a lot of people do just kind of get into, well, this isn't what it used to be, so I hate it. It doesn't have to be that, and it isn't. I think there obviously is a devaluation of the bowl games, but okay, like you said, like start from scratch and frame it a little bit differently. It's like, hey, this is actually still pretty cool,
and I really missed Champions Week. That 2020 concept, I thought that was a great idea by the Big Ten. Hey, not everyone can play for a Big Ten championship, but we have some teams that are on the outside looking into bowls.
Yeah,
let's match them up. Winner take all. Here's a chance to go play another game. I would think teams and administrations and especially players would be all over that. Maybe I've been proven wrong. I don't know.
It is strange. I don't know either. Like I was thinking the other day too, is Notre Dame going to come back to a bowl? I know Nebraska turned down a bowl in 2020, didn't deserve it, but they got the opportunity to go to one. And so, they had a team vote and voted not to, which was kind of strange. But can you come back to a bowl once you've acknowledged that that's not the program standard? And yes, they feel like they were gypped out of the playoffs and should have got in, but I don't know if Notre Dame, like if an 8-4 Notre Dame goes, are they going to accept a bowl bid next year, or are we going to start seeing schools just say, you know what, no, thank you? But it's just again, the strange part of it is there's still money to be made. There's still football, like experience to be gained, practices to be had. It's all, it's still beneficial, and it's almost like if we talk about it like the spring game. That's what we want, right? You want next, but it's just kind of turning into something kind of in the middle there.
Well, the spring game thing is an interesting thought. I mean, what if we took what were bowl matchups and moved them to the spring, to what everyone's whistle for football again?
Then you'd have full teams playing. You'd have complete teams, I would think. But would they play 4 quarters? I mean, spring games on their own aren't competitive till the end generally.
Right. So there is that. And I think the other difference too is that bowl games like this are like at the end of a long season. And unless you're going from like 1-5 to 6-6, and you're the hot team going into bowl games, like, just get this over with. Come on, next year already. Players are opting out, so have I. Spring games, I think we enjoy them. Well, we used to enjoy them because, hey, look, spring football's back. We get to watch something. This is great. And now it's, well, this guy even going to be on the roster after the game, or is he going to transfer out?
Yeah.
I would move the Bulls to the spring. I really would. Save up the money, give people something to get excited about. Hey, this is your first look at your team. You can travel to an exciting destination just as the weather's starting to get nice. Spend your holidays at home with your family because we know you want to, that sort of thing, but it's just never going to happen.
But it's just so strange. Again, I don't know, college football, it just has so many questions, and you're just kind of building the plane in the air, as to, and kind of trying to fall back on old traditions and old models and trying to move into the new age and what's going to be the best. And it's just kind of like, all right, well, let's just see how this flies, how it lands once we get to the destination. But I agree with you. I mean, I think there could be a route for a spring football bowl system to kind of work a little bit better, more interesting, and feel like the importance is there a little bit more. But again, it's just so strange because when I look at Utah and this matchup, and I said, even if they lose, do we devalue? Should Utah, even on their 10-2 slate, fall to 10-3? Like they will, it'll be in there, but without their head coach, without their 3 best players that are going to be potentially, first round or second round draft picks. Like that's not the Utah team that earned 10-2 at all.
Here's the spin, Bach. Utah will fall because they're in the Big 12. Another win for the mighty Big 10 over the Big 12. Just devaluing, another reason to give the Big 12 anything. Nope. If they can't even beat, a middle of the road Big 10 team, they deserve to drop out of the top 25. How's that for spin?
That's
Does sound like Tony Petitti enough right there?
I mean, I could see it happening. But again, on the opposite side is Nebraska, who I feel like there is a lot to play for. Again, without Emmett Johnson, without your defensive coordinator for the entirety of the year. I mean, so they've got their own, your own kind of thoughts there about is this the complete team? Is this the 7-5 Huskers? But it's a chance to win a top 15 game as again, I don't know is that the top 15 Utah team? No, but they're ranked 15th. The chance to improve on the win total like we were talking about earlier. And I think the biggest thing for Nebraska in this more than anything is just to get a different taste in your mouth heading into the offseason, because the last 2 games were brutal and really tough to feel like, okay, this is heading in the right direction. If you can reroute that with a win at the end against Utah, then you'll have a lot of people kind of pulling back their midseason thoughts and say, you know what? I said about 8 wins coming in. They got to it. Beat a top 15. You can start to spin it. You do your own spin cycle there.
You sure can. I'm a little surprised that maybe you've seen it, and I don't want to speak for you or anyone else, but I'm a little surprised that I haven't seen the take of, well, because of the way the regular season ended for Nebraska, because of all the new coaches, maybe they should just opt out. What's the point of getting steamrolled again and ending at 7-6? I'm kind of glad I haven't seen that. I think people are going to at least tune in to watch Nebraska, which is not nothing. But as doom and gloom as this fan base has been sometimes, I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more. Yeah, just opt out. We don't care. Get the new people integrated.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I suppose, again, after years and years of not going to a bowl game, it's just kind of like, well, at least we're here. And I think that was so heavily valued throughout, and it should be. Like, I mean, you missed, 7 years of bowls, 15 practices. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a lot of practices there, close to 100 practices that the program could have used to get better. And so I think there's just a base level understanding that this is maybe good in at least the practices, even the experience, whatever it might be. But there is obviously, I don't even know if the line came down from once Whittingham took that job. But it was like close to 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
I haven't seen sense.
I mean, we had I think it was on the drive, they had Salt Lake City personality come in and say basically Nebraska can stop the run, Utah might be in trouble. It's like, well, yeah.
I'm still seeing Utah by 13.5. So
yeah, 13,
maybe it moved a point.
Yeah,
maybe.
So you're still talking about basically 2 possessions there, and so again, that's part of the whole discussion where it began. Is it's somewhat of a mismatch dynamic of this bowl game because of the bowl tie-ins to begin with. But I don't know. It's hard to even put your feelings into kind of one place about all of it. Just so many moving parts. But that's college football now. Is so many moving parts, and you just kind of take whatever's there, whatever they're going to present you. I'm excited for it. I mean, it's another chance for a Nebraska football game, a chance to see some of the younger players, a chance to see if TJ Lateef can kind of rise. So there's a lot of intriguing storylines on the Nebraska side of it, and certainly. I'm happy that it's here and happy it's a few days away.
I agree. Now, I don't know what Las Vegas can do to make it fun, like IQ Crew is getting out on the text line. Do you introduce a slot machine? Whoever spins it and hits jackpot first gets the opening kickoff or the choice for the opening kickoff or something. I don't know. But IQ Crew says, outside of the college football playoff, if more of the bowl games were like the Pop-Tarts Potato or Baked Beans Bowl, it would be more fun and fans would be more interested. I would love to know if those are actually more popular because of the gimmicks or if that's just a social media sort of phenomenon. Like, credit to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's become a thing partially because of the Pop-Tarts that have entered the national conscience, but also because think about our 2 matchups, Bach. You had the best season in Iowa State history against the guy in Cam Ward that went on to be the top pick in the NFL draft by the Titans. That's a good matchup, even though he only played a half. That's the best season in Iowa State history against Miami, just on the doorstep of the playoff. They just fell out. And then this year, Georgia Tech in the ACC race till the end, one of their better seasons in recent memory against BYU, runner up in the Big 12. That's a good, hard-nosed matchup. So yeah, the Pop-Tarts have something to do with it, but guess what? That's a fun matchup that people wanted to watch. You think about the Potato Bowl. Guess what? That's a game that means something to mid-major, more group of 5 type programs, right? Yes, it's become a thing, dumping the potatoes on them. Who wants to go to Boise? Well, a team that's happy to play another game. Happy to have another chance to lace them up and the chance to dump some fries on their coach, right? Is it because of the fries that's a fun game? Or is it because the teams are invested in care and want to be there in a fun matchup? I would argue it's more the latter. And maybe the French fries and the Pop-Tarts are more for social media, which absolutely drives clicks. I get it. But I'd love to see the TV ratings for these bowls. And if you could survey the people who are watching, did you watch for the Pop-Tarts or did you watch because of the football? I'd love to know.
It's the only ranked matchup we've had so far outside of the playoffs, obviously, in bowl games. Again, part of the going back to part of the problem there. But that is a good point. I do wonder, there's obviously a lot that you could do in Vegas. I was wondering if the uniforms are going to be a little bit different or, kind of have, hearts and diamonds and, whatever littered across them. From what I've seen, they've got the patch. Which is expected for any bowl, but I think it would be worth it. Now, Nebraska this year, as far as mixing up the uniforms, have not gone too well. Other than
everyone loved the blackouts, right, Bach? That went over without controversy.
The Minnesota game, obviously, Nebraska, put some pink in there. That didn't work out well either. The Houston Christian did when you wear all red, but it's funny because Nebraska hasn't worn all red for the longest time because they thought it was cursed. So they brought it out for Houston Christian where it almost couldn't bite them back.
And hey, look, we're fixed. We're solved.
Yeah.
Maybe what they need to do is go full Nebraska men's basketball and do actual scarlet and cream.
Yes. I would
Maybe.
love that. Yeah.
Maybe.
At some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would be good for Vegas too.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We've got plenty more to talk here on One-on-One. We'll kind of get a little bit more to your text as well. If you have any ideas of how to kind of mix up this Las Vegas Bowl, make it somewhat like the Pop-Tart Bowl or dumping mayonnaise on the coach or whatever. That is for some people. They love it. So let us know, 402-464-5685. We'll be back with more on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations. Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Fern as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We are back here with One-on-One with DP. DP again on a flight down to Las Vegas to take in some of the Nebraska-Utah game, which will be happening here in just a few days. Of course, the last day of the year for Husker football as well. Then you will jump around and not much time to take of breath because the transfer portal will open shortly after that. In fact, on Friday, it's this week. Are we prepared for the transfer portal to open, Austin?
Are we ever? I mean, was it ever closed?
Yeah, that's true.
Is this transfer portal ever closed? I mean, either you're 2 feet in or you're 1 feet in.
Yeah.
Or 1 foot in. I'm new to this whole radio thing. Yeah, I think Friday's going to be fascinating because the transfer portal for most people is going to overshadow maybe the biggest game of Fred Hoiberg's tenure, Nebraska-Michigan State, as long as Nebraska is able to handle business tomorrow. But the slew of announcements that we're going to get as the side enter the transfer portal, is leaving its current program, it's going to be an avalanche on social media. It's going to be crazy. Shout out to Joe Tipton and Hayes Fawcett for all the great graphics work they're about to be paid for. That's going to officially see the light of day coming up on Friday. But yeah, Bach, I haven't really invested myself in Nebraska football in the transfer portal this much, just because I don't think it's worth even projecting out. Right? Nebraska hasn't played its bowl game yet. I'm sure that doesn't have much of a determination, but I'm curious to see, especially from Nebraska's standpoint, just how bad it gets or how good it is, right? Because we know Matt Rule's made that the focus, and we don't want guys going in the transfer portal. Trust us, stick it out here. You'll be a better player by the time you leave than you are right now. Some guys are going to leave. It's natural. I'm really curious to see who decides to stick around, maybe even based on the bowl game, who maybe has a new lease on life or their career with the new staff or pieces of the staff that are in place. But there are always going to be those surprises for, oh, really? I thought this guy was in line to play next year. Friday's the day. We'll find out. Yeah. We'll probably get some news dumps and have a lot to talk about throughout the day on Friday, but also I think Monday, just have the weekend to see who has maybe held off a day or two to make their final determination. But yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's going to hit like a train.
Is there, obviously so far, again, like you said, it's never really closed. It is officially opening here on Friday, but it is, you can still kind of make your intentions known. How have you felt so far? I mean, obviously Dylan Raiola out there now, girlfriend images, maybe he could come back. But outside of that, I think Malcolm Hartzog, I don't think you've really necessarily taken a hit yet. I think Hartzog would have been a guy that you would count on to come back and help. Obviously made one of the biggest plays of the year against Cincinnati. But so I thought he would have been nice to have back in your secondary, but again, this is the time of the year, but I don't feel like any of the other departures have really hit Nebraska too much.
No, I agree. Raiola, not unexpected. Even Hartzog, to me, not unexpected. That's a young man that I think just never got the fairest shake at Nebraska. Credit to him for being a good soldier and doing what was asked of him. But I think he did a lot of what was best for Nebraska, not necessarily for his career. That's fine. Shout out to him as a team player. I'm just surprised he even stuck around this long. I would have thought even before last season he might have been a guy to watch in the portal. Good player. We'll see if there's another level for him to reach, or if he had maxed out, maybe because of what Nebraska did, maybe in spite of what Nebraska did, changing his positions. But really, Bach, I think the positions to watch for the transfer portal for me are going to be the lines, right? Skill position guys come and go. Defensive backs come and go. But to see this new coaching staff, obviously headlined by Jeep Wade on the offensive side, and then Roy Manning and potentially Coach TBD on the defensive line. Those are the two groups with the most to play for, I would say, for Nebraska in this Las Vegas Bowl against Utah. Any of those guys play well, maybe they feel like they have their leg up. Maybe those guys don't click with the coaching staff right away. Well, this guy's not going to give me a chance, and I hit the door. Seems like Nebraska, at least on the offensive line, has some intriguing young talent. Defensive line, TBD. I know Matt Rule said hell on wheels coming into the year. Sure didn't manifest. So defensive line, you want those guys just like the offensive line to stick around and build, but Nebraska didn't get much out of them. Maybe there's some, just give them one more year. Maybe they're unlocked in a 4-down base defense. Maybe they're not. But with those two positions especially, that's where I'm going to be monitoring to see if any of those, especially the in-state names for Nebraska on the offensive line, if those guys are willing to stick it out and stick around, or if Nebraska is going to have to really hit the transfer portal hard for offensive linemen, which is really tough to do.
Well, it's interesting, especially kind of what you mentioned there with kind of the younger defensive linemen. We saw, Keona Davis jump in the portal, and Nebraska went in there and got him back out. And obviously, whatever way you want to put it, the defensive line, the scheme, whatever, it didn't necessarily work out this year. And maybe you're kind of looking for some different bodies, but I'm going to be particularly interested there because I think there's still lot of upside in some of that younger offensive line. I mean, obviously you're kind of waiting for Riley Van Poppel to pop. But Cade Petchak, I think, kind of jumped onto the scene. Keona Dave, but a lot of it was kind of early, like for both Petchak and Williams Nwaneri. It was like, okay, this was exciting at the beginning of the season. It did not get more exciting toward the end, and I think that was part of why there's a little bit of frustration there. But just the point of Nwaneri and Davis and Linhart's going to be back, as we assume, right? And Petchak, I mean, Van Poppel, you've got some names on the line to work with. Do you think they need to make it a major adjustment, get some big fish in the portal?
It's going to be tough. Those guys aren't cheap out of the portal, right? You think about, Gabe Moore. Is he able to stay healthy? Jalen George, I think he has another year coming from East Tennessee as well. Is he can be ready to go. Sua Lefotu, there's another name on the interior. Keona Davis had some flashes 2 seasons ago. Didn't see nearly as many this year. Nwaneri, I thought, still played well toward the end of the year. Maybe not the counting stats, but I still thought, teams were running away from him. I thought he held up. Sure, get more consistent, setting the edge on his position, but that's a young guy in his first real extended action. I thought he was good enough for what Nebraska needed. Linhart, to me, is just kind of a guy, kind of in that MJ Sherman camp for me, where he's fine. He won't hurt you out there. Is he going to make a bunch of splash plays? We'll see. I think a lot of it, though, does depend on, is there a leap in Keona Davis and is there a leap in Riley Van Poppel? It needs to be Van Poppel. It can't be Van Fizzle, if you will, for Nebraska, right? That's a guy that everyone points back to that 4th down stuff against Illinois. It's in him. It's got to be, right? Or is it just the best play of his career? Did he peak as a freshman? I doubt it. You like the athletic pedigree, but man, you'd like to see it pop sooner than later. Even in the Ty Robinson case, right? Ty Robinson came in as a higher touted guy than Riley Van Poppel did. Well, let's not forget that. And it took Ty Robinson that long to become an impact player. Nebraska needs to make those guys impact players as sophomores so they can have really great years or really good years as juniors and at least start testing the NFL draft water. So if they go, hey, you got a couple really good years out of this guy, or if they stay, man, look at the senior season that he's in store for. These guys can't start jumping on the scene as juniors and seniors. I get it on the offensive line, maybe to an extent on the defensive line, but at that point, you're getting 1.5 good years out of a player. You got to get 2.5 to 3 good years out of these guys sooner than later. Otherwise, it's going to start feeling like a revolving door.
Well, and it is interesting, especially with those positions in the modern day college football transfer portal, everything that kind of goes on there. Because traditionally, you do think, up front, especially in the Big Ten, okay, you might get you in there as a sophomore, but we're expecting you to start as a junior or senior and that sort of thing. But the way coaches are viewing it now is like, you better be able to play. I mean, you better be able to play today. There's no promise of next year, so I think there's just less kind of projects in those positions and specifically, again, it just kind of takes some time. So you've got to have a little bit of patience, certainly development, a lot of room and, a lot of work in the strength and conditioning department and all of that. But I think that's why you saw like they go out and get, some help from the transfer portal. It's like, okay, well, these guys did their kind of growing or hopefully from the outside. And so that's why I just think Nebraska is at such an interesting spot because there's a lot of young defensive linemen that should be kind of hitting that wave, whether they have been starting and playing significantly for Nebraska, which a lot of them have been or not. It's kind of the time to turn it on. And yet a lot of people are going to point to the transfer portal and say that would be one of the top needs based on the fact that Nebraska really struggled with rushing defense. And again, how much of that was scheme? How much of that was linebackers filling where they needed to do? Obviously, setting the edge was a problem. How much of that, again, is it's partially scheme? You have like a 220-pound linebacker blitzing off the edge. That's not going to help as much as having, a bigger defensive end. And so I think especially, I think a lot of those pieces can work. I think what they are going to need, in my mind, is if you're going to go back to a 4-man front, get a big space here. They don't have, you talked about Ty. They don't have a Nash. You don't have, and Ty got about as big as Nash, but, you don't have like a 300-plus pound, 320 pound guy in there to kind of plug that hole.
Is that the vision for like a Sua Lefotu potentially?
Maybe.
George is maybe an undersized one of those. I'm curious to see if he thinks he fits in the 4 down as opposed to the 3 down. I'm trying to scroll through the defensive line here if it pulls up. So, I mean, Lefotu 6'3", 300. I think you can work with that in the middle. Van Poppel 6'5", 295. Maybe a little too tall for my liking in the middle, but as one of the two of them, maybe you can make it work. Judy's obviously gone. Mason Goldman probably more an edge. Dylan Parrott 6'5", 320. Maybe tall, but at least has the heft for it. Landon Davidson is a redshirt freshman, 6'4", 305. Ashton Murphy. Is that an edge or is that an interior guy? I think that remains to be seen. Hufkin probably more on the exterior at 6'7". Malcolm Simpson is a freshman, 6'3". Can he beef up to 300 and be one of those guys there in the middle? Tyson Terry coming off injury, as a freshman coming off injury, that's probably going to be tough, but can he start working his way into the rotation next year? I think if you can get Lefotu, Terry, and one other guy, you have something there to work with. I mean, even Jalen George will be a senior next year, 6'3", 285, transfers up from East Tennessee State. Is there a difference maker there? We'll see, but I think you can work with what you have as long as those guys aren't being asked to carry too much of the load. That takes a breakout from a Williams Maneri, takes a breakout from a Lenhart or someone else on the edge like a Pedchock, but I'm okay with where Nebraska's at on the interior.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see if Rob Orich and the new Nebraska defensive staff feel the same way, or if there is a lot of movement in the portal. Of course, we're just talking about adding to the portal. How many of those pieces might depart? We'll have to wait and see. Again, Friday is when the portal officially opens up. That's a couple days after Nebraska's game against Utah. All right, let's go ahead and take another break. We'll be back with more on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Fern as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com. When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 404-5238, or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
It's that time of year when one episode turns into just one more season, when dessert turns into dinner, and time doesn't exist until the clock strikes midnight. Wait, what time is it? It's time to finish strong. At Planet Fitness, we're not waiting for the new year to give it everything we've got. Enjoy 24-hour access at most clubs when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime, and pay nothing until January 17th. Deal ends December 31st. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
The holidays are here, and there's every reason to make Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina part of your plans. Are you heading to a Nebraska basketball game? Stop at Tipsy Tina's before or after for delicious tacos. Meeting friends for drinks for an ugly sweater get-together? Enjoy Tipsy Tina's variety of margaritas. And if you're not sure about what to get for a gift this year, Tipsy Tina's gift cards are always a great idea. Don't forget about the event space at Salt next door to Tipsy Tina's, all of them located in the Haymarket at 8th and Q. Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
The time is now. Lincoln Marathon and Half Marathon registration is now open, and prices are rising. The sooner you sign up, the less you pay. Set the goal, start training. Register now at lincolnmarathon.org. Race day is May 3rd.
Back to one-on-one with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We're back here with one-on-one with DP. Once again, DP on a plane to Las Vegas. So myself and Austin Overman, I'm Jake Bachman in studio with you here, kind of breaking down what's going to be a busy week in Nebraska football. We were just talking during the break. I did want to mention, I know this will anger a lot of people, but I always get excited for some PJ Fleck news. How about PJ Fleck 7-0 in bowl games at Minnesota now, after beating New Mexico in what was a beautiful matchup of at least uniforms out there. 20-17. Minnesota finishes the season at 8-5. A very interesting year for Minnesota. Obviously, they got blown out in some of the bigger games, destroyed by Iowa 41-3. Did beat Nebraska, as we know, 24-6. But it's kind of just an interesting year for them to finish. I suppose not all that. Maybe you would expect Minnesota to yearly finish around 8-5. But what do you make of 7-0 in bowl games? That's, as much as we belittle bowl games and talk this and that about it, that's rather impressive.
We also belittle Minnesota and
That's
how
right.
they've treated Nebraska. Sorry, that's no. Good on PJ Fleck. Bet the mortgage on him every postseason, I guess. Not
Yeah.
betting advice. Do not do it. You did not hear it from me. It was said in jest. Good on PJ Fleck and the Gophers, though, right? They know what they stand for. They know they're going to go compete, but I think it just is that old adage of you know what travels, right? Defense, run game. When you're not ready or familiar with how Minnesota plays, it can kind of punch you in the mouth. Now, if you are ready for it and you are familiar with it, it can still punch you in the mouth. See 24-7. But yeah, no, good on PJ Fleck. It's just one of those neat little like quirks or pieces of trivia that when PJ Fleck loses his next bowl game, do you know PJ Fleck had just rattled off 13 bowl wins in a row before he just lost one? It's just weird, just funny. That's the fun. That's the joy of college sports. Is now that we want to see, PJ Fleck in Minnesota happy, but from a statistical kind of nerdy trivia standpoint, hey, that's kind of cool. Look at PJ Fleck go.
Yeah. You know what? One way or the other, that's definitely a good way to get like the off-season feelings going well, right? Regardless of maybe you've come up a little bit short in the regular season, which is interesting to kind of look back at. His 9-win seasons, you finished with 8-win, kind of regular seasons. The 8 wins obviously finished with 7. Just kind of boosting it that way in the offseason. A couple other bowl games to kind of look up in as far as the Big Ten goes. Northwestern finished off the season 7-6 with a 34-7 victory over Central Michigan. So that's at least good, finish above 500. A little bit surprised to see Penn State destroy Clemson, or at least, win fairly easily, 22-10. So the Big Ten is off to a pretty good start in the bowl season. Are you a cheer for the Big Ten? Do you think that's going to help Nebraska look better or something at this point?
No, absolutely not. Do you think the Big Ten is cheering for Nebraska against Utah?
I think to a degree.
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
I do not have the same level of loathing for every team in the conference. Like Penn State beats Clemson. Okay, cool. Good for you. We see it once every 5 years. So be it. Rutgers, if they, beat Kansas State in a bowl game or whatever. Hey, cool. Look at little old Rutgers go. I'm not rooting for them. I'm not necessarily rooting against them. But even in like these bowl games, sure, maybe I'll pull for the Big Ten a little bit more. But I'm not rooting for Indiana or Ohio State to win the whole thing just because it'll make Nebraska look better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a time and place for that, right? I mean, if Nebraska's 10-2 and they're trying to argue to get in the playoffs and stuff like that, then you definitely can lean in and champagne the Big Ten. I was always impressed that the SEC, as much as the heated rivalries they have down there, do kind of unify and support. Hey, we are the conference. And it's kind of helped, I think the Big Ten and their identity and winning these last couple of championships has kind of helped form that. And for the SEC, it was just kind of like, it was such a dominating period for 15, 20 years. It was like, all right, well, let's just all jump in on this. And
well, the SEC didn't care about bowls when they lost, right, Bach? If they weren't playing for the national championship, it just didn't matter to the SEC. I mean, look at the rings that Georgia and Alabama are winning. So we're good. But if they win, look at the SEC. We're so strong. They had their cake and they ate it too. It's pretty great. Sick deal.
Which the conference, I think the SEC. I'm trying to look at the ranking.
1154. How will it help Nebraska next year? How will Penn State winning a bowl game help Nebraska next year? How will Indiana or Ohio State winning a bowl game help Nebraska next year? And if one of those two teams wins the national championship and Nebraska knocks them off, that's the only way. That's the only way that helps Nebraska next year. It has so little to do with anything, So not that I want to wish ill on people, but I have no clear reason, at least to me, to root for Indiana. Their success isn't Nebraska's success. They don't get to claim a piece of that. I'm not going to do it. You can't make me.
Again, fair enough. And then part of it, too, is just this long losing streak against the top end of the conference and all that stuff. It's like Nebraska's place is very firmly set where we know kind of where it is. It's not going to be strayed one way or the other because some other teams win some games.
No, Big Bang Hank. The better your opponents look, the more recruits and money they get. Hope they all lose. I don't know if that's true to quite that extent. You're not competing for necessarily the same recruits all the time. But yeah, I mean, you want you to look better. You want your direct competition to look worse. It's better for you that way. Now, you want to be good enough that a win over them means something for you, but you don't want them to look so good. Does it increase the rev share if more Big Ten teams win? I don't know. But again, you should have enough money to look better in 7-5 on average over any 5-year span. Go spend it better.
So far, Big Ten 5-0 in the postseason. Other conferences as you look at it.
0739. The conference being successful helps Nebraska if they're in the bubble next year as conference looks better. They won't look back to this year and say, oh, Indiana won last year, so Nebraska deserves to be in this year. That's how it works. That's not how it works. It's just not. Over the long run, if the Big Ten continues to get 3 or 4 teams in, maybe, but in any one year, and we're still so new in this playoff, I don't think it helps Nebraska to the degree that the rest of you do. I really don't.
And again, it's kind of like if all things play out well for Nebraska to be in a playoff race, then maybe there's a potential there. I mean, I do think it helps in general, just kind of the perception, right? Perception is reality. And, at least the perception across the nation, if the Big Ten continues to do well in the postseason, I think can kind of help. Okay, that's one of those Big Ten teams. But, I mean, especially if Nebraska loses to Utah, and it's the only Big Ten team to that point that have lost. And it's like, okay, well, now everybody except for Nebraska is probably being pulled up by the Big Ten rankings or the postseason play and not the Huskers. But, I mean, I like to, but I like the idea back when it was more regional. And then you had more kind of a regional argument about, well, yeah, come try to play in the Midwest and, in November, right. Or, come try to play in the SEC, all that sort of stuff. Now it's just less like, right? Is the conference, if USC and Rutgers win, what does that mean for Nebraska in the middle of in the country? Not sure it means a whole lot.
If anything.
Yeah.
If anything. I just refuse to believe that it means that much. It doesn't hurt Nebraska if the conference wins, but it doesn't help that much. It can't help that much.
Well, like the SEC. SEC is 2-4 in the postseason so far. Is that going to be a major talking point? We'll see if it continues. it might be. And we've certainly had years where this happens. And then to your point, you kind of, yes, you say, well, we just didn't want to be there or whatever. But it's interesting. Again, I think there's at least a talking point there, but that's really all it kind of expands to is just kind of talking. It doesn't obviously do much for on the field and unless you kind of very narrowly kind of get into that kind of playoff discussion next year with a few teams. But again, so far, let's go to these conference records. Big Ten 5-0, so good start there. As we talked with the SEC at 2-4, the Big 12 is at 2-0, the ACC at 4-4. You look at some of the other conferences: American at 4-3, Conference USA 3-3, Dependent 0-1, the MAC 2-3, Mountain West 2-5, the Pac-12 1-0, in the Sun Belt 2-4. So go Big Ten.
Go Big Ten.
5-0, yeah.
Go Big Ten.
We just need a chance.
Says
that
not
sounds
me.
Good. No, yeah, except for Austin. He doesn't care.
What is it Go Big Ten, or is that too close to Go Big Red? Is it B1G? Is that the change?
Well, the SEC just sounds so good. You can't just go Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Big
Big Ten.
Yeah.
Big,
well, you need a thump. Yeah, there you go.
Big Ten. Big Ten.
I think BIG would be pretty cool.
If you're going to try to match the SEC, but again, do they have the market cornered on 3 character chance?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It sounds good.
But again, I don't care because I'm not rooting for the Big Ten. So the rest of you have at it.
We'll see. Again, fun to go down that talking point because a lot of different feelings. And again, I don't think it goes too much beyond feelings in words. But that'll wrap it up for this segment. We've got one more hour of one-on-one coming up next with myself and Austin. We'll be back after this.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's that time of year when one episode turns into just one more season. When dessert turns into dinner. And time doesn't exist until the clock strikes midnight. Wait, what time is it? It's time to finish strong. At Planet Fitness, we're not waiting for the new year to give it everything we've got. Enjoy 24-hour access at most clubs when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime, and pay nothing until January 17th. Deal ends December 31st. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Is your furnace ready for winter? Call Bryant to perform a thorough check for comfort and peace of mind. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Whatever it takes.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, for brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation. Here is your host, Derek Pearson.
Welcome to the second hour here of One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket. Myself, Jake Bachman, along with Austin Orman, filling in for DP, who might be landing at some point here. I've been saying the whole time he's been flying to Las Vegas. The flight doesn't take too long. I don't think so anyway. It's been a few years since I made it down to Vegas and lost all my money at the casinos. But in any case, hopefully he has fun. Everybody that's traveling, hopefully you have some fun in Vegas as well. Obviously, that's kind of the big draw of this bowl game is there's never a dull moment, never a dull hour in Las Vegas. So, you know, I know
Hey, I can say otherwise.
You, really?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I just wasn't out looking and adventuring for the fun, but 11 days in Vegas get you down, man. Especially 8 of them consecutively.
Yeah, if you kind of isolate yourself in your hotel room, it might. You're not a big. You didn't go to the tables much, did you?
I did not.
Yeah.
No, not with the kid and another one on the way.
Yeah.
Decided to be prudent.
Fair enough. Yeah. I get that, which is the deal. But I mean, as long as you like gambling, there's never a dull moment in Vegas. But you know, there's shows, stuff you can do. But I mean, I could agree with you. I've had friends that moved to Vegas, and you know, it's
on purpose.
Or on purpose. Yeah, that kind of takes away from the destination, right? Well, where are you gonna go? Like, where's that like cheap, easy place to go and just, you know, lose yourself for a few days? If not Vegas. If you live there, right? Yeah, if you live there, then it's just there the whole time. Yeah, I'm not really sure. And there's not much around Las Vegas. It's just a desert,
right?
So there's there's not much to travel. You just gotta stay in Vegas. Obviously, it's close enough to Los Angeles or something if you want to drive 3 or 4 hours. But yeah,
is that their version of like going to Kansas City?
I think so. Yeah.
I think we got it better.
I'm not sure. Depends on what you want to do. But if you want to stay away from highly populated areas, then we've got it better. So that's one way to look at it. So Nebraska and Utah will of course play here, and we'll get to Kyle Whittingham. He took the Michigan job over the weekend, and we can talk about that. There was a little bit of news here from the past hour. Marcus Freeman, of course, the Notre Dame head coach, had been talked about a potential candidate for NFL coaching vacancies. He tweeted out 2026, run it back, go Irish, as it appears now that he's received an enhanced contract from the university. Sources has confirmed now to ESPN. So no Marcus Freeman to the NFL. He stays with the Irish, of course, again, who pouted their way out of going to a bowl game, wish they were going to the playoffs. What are your kind of initial feelings on that? Obviously, I love, I'm a big college football first guy. I love the powers, even though a lot of people hate Notre Dame, at least to have some continuity and consistency there with one of the top young coaches in football in general. But then there's always the opposite side of that. Would have been fun to see him at least get an opportunity in the NFL, though I don't think, and he had been linked to the Giants. That's been a tough gig for many of the coaches the last decade or so.
Yeah, it really has. Tom Coughlin's probably the last guy to handle it consistently well. I'm fascinated to see if through the professionalization of college sports, we get more college coaches making the jump or fewer college coaches making the jump, right? Because, I mean, you think about, obviously, Matt Rule has been there. Pete Carroll gave it a trial. He was an NFL guy, then a college guy, then an NFL. I don't know. That one's just its own sort of situation. And plenty more to name. I mean, Nick Saban obviously comes to mind. And there have been some. It's not common, but it's not rare. But specifically for the head coaching job, you would think that off the top of your head, well, Ohio State's pretty professional. No, would Ryan Day maybe lead that list of candidates? Dan Lanning down the line? I don't know, because I still think there is a pretty clear delineation between what you need to be a good college head coach and a good NFL head coach. It's simpler in some ways in the NFL, because just coach football, just get down to business. You don't have to have glad hand as much, but also, could you argue it's higher stakes? The 32 biggest franchises in the world. And if you're not doing that one job really well, you're out. Similar skills, but different skills involved. I don't know if Marcus Freeman ever makes the jump. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I still think they're two pretty separate realms. I'm going to be curious to see if the changes in college football lead to there being more guys that the NFL views as qualified if the system gets close to the NFL's, or if it's still, it's just college down there. It's got to be a really special candidate for us. Or sure, we'll interview you just to pick your brain, but we're just going to go someone that we know succeeded in the NFL.
Well, it's so interesting. If there was a proven way that this is the route to go and work, then that's what everybody would do. There's enough examples of, taking NFL guys or taking college guys and it working, doing the same and it not working. So it's really a tough process to kind of figure out where you want to go there. But I would have liked to see Marcus Freeman, and maybe we will someday, get a chance at the NFL. Also, like guys that are just kind of college football guys and say, you know what? This is my gig. I'm going to stay here 30 years and this is what I'm going to do. And there's no, I remember at one time, Kirk Ferentz was a hot name in about the mid 2000s about maybe taking an NFL job.
Tom
Never
Osborne
did.
and the Giants.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's always going to be kind of some talks as long as you're successful. And that's what Marcus Freeman has been able to do there.
Where would you
Notre
rather
Dame.
coach, college or NFL? Is it job dependent?
I think it is job dependent. Because I thought that was interesting when you put it, because there are, you can see that in the salaries even. There are college coaches that make what some of the lower level NFL coaches make.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the worst NFL job that you would leave a top 5 college job for?
Ooh, that's tough, because you really would see that, right? The Giants.
like would you if you're Ryan Day, would you leave Ohio State for Tennessee and Cam Ward?
I don't think so. I think that's one of those
Would
deals.
you leave for Denver after Sean Payton retires?
Well, now they're set up pretty well. A lot of it has to be kind of what the setup is, I think, and also like if you're Ryan Day and Tennessee comes open, it again goes back to the conversation of like, do I jump at the first one, or do I wait till build myself up till a good opportunity presents itself?
If you're Marcus Freeman, let's say that, this year, next year is it for Shane Steichen. Do you move down the road, or would you want to go further away? Would people understand if you left Notre Dame for just the Colts? Notre Dame, probably a top 5 college football job, top 10, certainly in most accounts. Colts aren't a top 10 NFL job.
No,
I wouldn't think. Would that be a good enough reason to leave? You probably don't have to uproot your family necessarily, move, but a little bit different. Would it be easier to take a job like that closer to home, or would you rather go someplace further where you don't have to deal with the backlash of having left Notre Dame?
that would be an interesting part of that too, especially leaving the bigger institution. I think you might want to get out of the state. But to your point, again, it just kind of depends on what are your goals and what do you want to do as a college coach right now. It's just, it's got to be a 24/7 job with just everything coming at you in all different angles and roster management, recruiting, and all that sort of stuff. NIL deals. It might be, you might get a little bit more sleep as an NFL coach if that's kind of what you're looking for. Kind of more priority on game day, and obviously still managing egos and that sort of stuff. But the GM will do a lot of the NIL bidding for you. Obviously, none of the recruiting stuff. You'll definitely have an interest in a say so in the scouting department and all that. But
if you were an NFL coach, would you? I guess let me phrase it. How much of a say would you like in personnel? Would you want to go full Belichick, coach and GM, or do you just want to have a good professional working relationship with your GM? Because in college, I feel like head coach has a lot to say. At least the assistants have a lot to say. Bach, if you're an NFL head coach, do you want college level control of your roster? Or are you saying, well, my job's to coach who I got and I'll give a little input here or there?
Well, I think you probably want as much say as you can get, right? I mean, obviously the GM at that level is a big time job. They're hiring the top people. They feel like that can take on that responsibility. But I always just kind of get caught up in like, what if you never get your quarterback, right? Or you don't get your opportunity? Certainly with your like top draft picks, it'd be tough as a head coach to be like, you know what? We need a franchise leader. We need this. And then they, draft a linebacker. And it's like, well, that helps, but that's not going to, help me take the next big step. Right.
Yeah. I think that as a college head coach, having that much control, at least relative to, the level. I mean, sure, you don't control your players. They're not just there to do your bidding, but being able to say, I want X, Y, and Z, being able to be in all those meetings, being able to say, hey, sorry, there's not really going to be room for you on the team next year. We should probably be looking at other options for you. Now that you can't do that in the NFL, but it seems a little bit different, right? Because you're not really cutting players in college, at least as we traditionally think of the term. I would think that being hands-on, being able to, get closer to handpicking your roster, getting the recruits from the areas of the country that you like to go visit and have connections to could be, somewhat helpful as a college head coach. But then in the NFL too, I want to have some say over my guys, but these are the best of the best. We'll evaluate them, but they should all be able to do a relatively similar job. Sure, I have an archetype of a guy I like more or less, but I wonder how many coaches crave that roster control down to the final 53-man spot versus the 105 in college, and how many are just like, dude, I'm just here to coach football. Just give me players and I'll get something out of them.
Well, it's really interesting because obviously in college football, you've got recruiting advantages. When we're talking about like roster management at Tulane and Texas A&M, those are going to be different things, right? And when you kind of do that in the NFL, like, yes, it plays out that way, but how much better are the top rosters than the bottom rosters? They are, right? I mean, it's evident when you see it. But every NFL game, as we know, the Steelers had everything to play for this weekend and dropped one to the Browns, right? I mean, it can happen. And that can happen in college football too. But I guess my point is you can put in like extra work and, depending on the spot that you can be to like actually build the advantage as a college football coach.
Yeah.
Whereas an NFL coach, everybody's getting the same amount of roster spots. Everybody's getting the same amount of draft picks. There's no like built-in advantage or regional advantage or anything to that case. So it's interesting, to talk about the power dynamics of it, of how much power you'd want. But altogether, it's just a different game they're playing to a degree as well.
It is. And different players like play different games. So maybe there's some college coaches that like that regionality. So I know I can get what I want right here. Maybe there's some that that's too many recruiting trips. That's too many visits in mom's kitchen, for mediocre food they have to ask like taste really good. I don't know, but that's where I'm curious again, as we see the college football model become similar to, but not one-to-one like the NFL model. If NFL teams will view college coaches or have college coaches that start to view themselves more that NFL model of, hey, this is what I'm good at. My skill set fits, right? I'm not just the scheme guy in college. I'm not just the one-trick pony that finds a guy from, backwater Texas that's going to be the next big thing. No, I can work with big talent. I can work with egos. I've had to deal with that in college now. I understand, at least better than most college coaches, how the salary cap works. Now, money plays into some of these determinations. I could see college saying, and the NFL saying to college coaches, yeah, you're getting more of this on-the-job training. We'll take more chances on more of you. I could also see the NFL saying, that's cute. Your system's not ours. You got to really pay your dues and be absolutely the best of the best and have nothing left to prove in college before we take you.
But it's interesting, dude. The truth there, you're kind of thinking about through job security is how quickly, that can change in both sides of it. But like you said, there might be a little bit more leniency one way or the other. It's intriguing. I'd like to see it. I mean, very few can kind of do both. I think Pete Carroll is fascinating and kind of the history of coaching to have kind of been able to do that, and obviously struggling now with Vegas and getting that thing pumped up and rolling again. But still, to have that sort of success and all the different skills we're talking about, all the kind of different games that they're playing. to have success at both levels, as we've seen with, the Bill Belichick, the Steve Spurrier. I mean, names
He's had
go on and
success
on
at
and
both
on.
levels and led
Nick
with Bill
Saban.
Belichick, Doc.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is you talk about the top name. That's what's so interesting. Best college football coach ever, Nick Saban. He couldn't get it done in the NFL.
No.
Best NFL coach ever, at least according to, the championships, Bill Belichick. Not
Couldn't
off
get
to a
it
good
done in
start at
college.
North Carolina. And again, Steve Spurrier, the fun and gun offense. I mean, bringing that to the NFL didn't work out. There's just example after example of where it doesn't. And then there's the few examples where it does. And it reminds you more than anything, as we go through those coaching cycles, it's just the excitement and the hope and the opportunity of a new coach and what it brings and what this could be. And the reality that more often than not, 4 or 5 years later, regardless of who you're bringing in, you're looking for somebody else.
Time is a flat circle. Dread it or run from it. The coach hiring cycle arrives all the same.
Now, I wanted to go back to that coaching hiring cycle because Kyle Whittingham, now hired by Michigan. Of course, you look at some of the big moves this offseason. James Franklin to Virginia Tech, obviously Lane Kiffin to LSU, Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, Matt Campbell even to Penn State. Do you feel like if you're Florida and you picked up John Summerall, and I'm not to say, group of 5 coaches moving up, that, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Auburn, these teams doing the same thing. But if I sit back and look at it, and Kyle Whittingham just became available, that's a top 15 coach coming into the year, and he's a top 15 team now. There's nothing that changes in my mind about that. James Franklin, Lane Kiffin, these are top 15 type of coaches in my mind, at least entering this past year. Maybe Franklin gets bumped down to 20th or whatever, but he can't fall that far for his bill of work. I just feel like maybe, this is late in the process. I thought, who's Michigan going to have left to kind of go after? And they might have made other than Lane Kiffin, I think this is probably argued. And just because Lane Kiffin's younger, that's the only reason that I think maybe I would rank that ahead of Kyle Whittingham at Michigan. I think the styles kind of fit. Whittingham has proven enough for years and years and years at Utah. I think it's a fantastic hire for the Wolverines.
I do too, and not one they could have planned on. Unless I don't believe that. Well, hey, I mean, he stepped down and then conveniently Michigan comes open. Do you think they fired Sharon Moore because Kyle Whittingham was available? No, I really don't. I think this was just one of those kind of like, the arc of the NBA universe just always bends back to the Lakers, right? Like,
right.
Luka Doncic should not have been available, but he was, and of course it had to be
he's only
the Lakers.
to the Lakers, so,
that part, right?
Yeah.
But same kind of thing with Michigan, right? Like, is Michigan that special? Ask them. They think they are. Did they deserve Kyle Whittingham for everything they've been through? No. They fell butt backwards into Kyle Whittingham. We should all be upset about this. Even if it's for, he's 66?
Yeah.
5 years, 6 years. We should all be wildly upset about this. I mean, good for them. They landed on a fantastic candidate that should have plenty left in the tank to help that university get back on the right track. But are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's another example of Michigan getting off essentially scot-free. I think they might have even upgraded from Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
With Kyle Whittingham. Maybe. And I get it. Harbaugh won the title, but did he really? Come on. We can have that conversation again. Whittingham's a heck of a college football coach. Michigan had no idea he was going to be available unless the private capital group that invested in Utah is funded by Michigan people who wanted to kick him out the door like, hey, Kyle, look, we got a spot for you. Come on over. But there's no way that was what happened. Michigan just fell butt backward into Kyle Whittingham. It pisses me off. They don't deserve him. He deserves better than the mess that institution is right now. It's a great football fit. And I hate that it's a great football fit because he didn't deserve to get pushed out of Utah like it seems like might have happened behind the scenes. And Michigan sure as heck didn't deserve to get a coach like that to fall into their lap. No, they should have wandered the wilderness. They should have, had to get lucky on hiring a coordinator or take a swing on, I don't know, whoever Eastern Michigan's coach is. Maybe, or Toledo's guy. Hire Candle. He looks good in blue and gold. I don't know, but no, you get Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel the same way. Now, I don't have as much hatred toward Michigan maybe as you do. So, again, I kind of like
Michigan.
The brand.
It's just like, really?
It just worked out well
really?
for him, yeah.
Those people? Them? Why do bad people have good things happen to them like this?
I think it is like we said, just great kind of football on the field works. Also breaks away from the Jim Harbaugh kind of coaching tree, right? And so doing that, so I saw somebody on Twitter also point out like the only women he followed, Kyle Whittingham, on social media is like his wife and his daughter.
He hasn't posted in 11 years. Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely a change in what has been going on there, and a very much needed cleanup for the University of Michigan. But, obviously they've got their bowl game against Texas still coming up, but it feels far from any sort of reset is going to be needed in place in Ann Arbor. It feels like it can kind of pick up where the last stuff left off, which is building its way back toward competing with the top teams in the Big Ten. So Michigan, I don't feel like is going to take too much of a dip here. I've loved Kyle Whittingham and what he's done for years at Utah. Again, I think he's undoubtedly a top 15 coach in college football.
Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Penn State poaching D'Anton Lynn from USC, former Nittany Lion defensive back, 3-time All Big Ten guy, in fact, in the conference, moving across the country. I was not as sold on that hire as some people were for USC, but he did some legitimately good work. Bach, and again, it's just these big schools, right? Michigan falls into Kyle Whittingham. Penn State can play the alumni card, not for Terry Smith, but for D'Anton Lynn, and bring him home. I kind of love that for Penn State. He did some pretty good work, who I don't think Penn State, was perfectly nice to Tom Allen and get rid of him, but making Jim Knowles as highly paid as he was, interesting move for him, but hey, follow the money, good for you. But again, to get another solid defensive coordinator in D'Anton Lynn, I love that for Matt Campbell too, because even if Lynn's been gone, you assume there's got to be some love for him still back home. And as Matt Campbell makes a move to a new area, having an alum like that on staff, I think that's a really good hire for Penn State.
I think that is a really good hire for him. I haven't got your thoughts in general about Matt Campbell at Penn State, though, because again, as we go kind of through this hiring cycle and talk about, the favorite hires, and again, I'd say Lane Kiffin and Kyle Whittingham are far above just like proven of what everybody else is able to kind of throw out there. Of course, you would have a pretty good argument for Coach Campbell and, 2 of the winningest seasons in Iowa State football history, all of that. But again, following the James Franklin era, is that the guy, and that's what kind of makes the Michigan part kind of interesting. If Penn State could have landed Kyle Whittingham, would that have been a better hire? And I would think, at least as far as stability and proven success, again, you kind of have the Lane Kiffin discussion again, where he's younger, and so maybe more long-term stability there. But as far as like who's going to compete next year, I think I think Michigan's in a pretty good position compared to Penn State, and we'll see. I mean, Matt Campbell has had some up and down seasons at Iowa State. The ups have been very high. People are very excited about that, and maybe that's because it's Iowa State that you kind of go back into those peaks and valleys. But I mean, that was the talk all along about Penn State. Is like, well, what's the next guy going to do to possibly match or surpass what Coach Franklin has done there?
I think that Matt Campbell has obviously a great opportunity in front of him. I think it's much more likely that Lane Kiffin flames out at LSU, but I also think Lane Kiffin will probably have an easier time taking the next step in his career, right? Because what was the thing with Ole Miss? Could never win the big one, couldn't get over the hump, one game short, never had that it factor. Same sort of thing for Campbell and Iowa State, right? I mean, I think got the first Big 12 championship game appearance in at least a long time for them last year. Hey, guess what? One step short against the Arizona State team that makes the college football playoff. I think if things go south for both Lane Kiffin and Matt Campbell, it will be irreparable between Lane Kiffin and LSU. And obviously it's pretty irreparable right now between Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. I think that if Matt Campbell doesn't work out for Penn State, it's, well, you know what? We like what we saw. Weird that it took us this long to get there. It just didn't work. Matt Campbell will land on his feet. Lane Kiffin will get another job somewhere too. I'm just not sure what level. Matt Campbell, I think, has a much better likelihood of, if it doesn't work at Penn State, he'll still be respected enough across the industry to still go back to, a Big 12 school or a Big 10 school, something like that. Lane Kiffin, I'm not so sure. Maybe Lane can talk his way into an ACC job. We'll see. But I think that the ceiling is equally high for both of them. I think both coaches can win a national championship at their new school. But I think if things go south, they're more likely to go further south quicker and more dramatically for Lane Kiffin.
Part of that is just his personality. You think,
well, and the personality of LSU.
Right. Yeah.
Not like things haven't gone drastically south for Penn State, before.
Right. Yeah.
We've been over that. I don't need to do it again. But I think LSU would be more of just a crash out, a flame out, a steaming train derailing off the tracks, as opposed to just like a crumble. He's good, but is he really what we paid for? He's Diet James Franklin at Penn State.
It will be exciting. Of course, that's part of the kind of the year one talk. Next year, we'll see. We do it every year. But this has been a very exciting and interesting Obviously, coaching cycle, I'd say up there. Nick, for the longest time, was saying it's going to beat the year that Kelly and Lincoln Riley, made their moves. I would say it's close. I don't know if that was kind of the part of that was the initial shock factor of kind of, okay, this is part of the new age of college football.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite hit that, but it certainly hasn't been short of any soap operas.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So I mean, I think you could probably put it on par with that offseason and that coaching cycle. All right, let's take a quick break. We got more to talk about coming up next year on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
January is your reset button. This January 10th, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping in Lincoln is kicking off our 10-week challenge. We combine high-energy kickboxing, powerful strength training, and simple, proven nutrition to deliver real results in just 10 weeks. For a limited time, get $150 off when you enroll today. No gimmicks, just coaching, accountability, and a community that pushes you to win. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Visit fxblincoln.com and start your strongest year yet at Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. 2 locations, South 40th and Yankee Hill, North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, changing lives 10 weeks at a time.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Fern as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Is your furnace ready for winter? Call Bryant to perform a thorough check for comfort and peace of mind. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Whatever it takes.
Hey, Lincoln and the surrounding area. Yin and Yang Acupuncture and Rune Wind Healing Arts is now open at 1701 South 17th Street in Suite 3G and ready to help you improve your general health. If you're experiencing pain, headaches, or any other issues, give Yin and Yang Acupuncture a call today at 402-480-1014 to schedule your appointment. For those struggling with deep tissue pain or just need an experienced massage therapist to melt the stress away, call Rune Wind Healing Arts at 402-601-9721 and schedule your appointment now. Visit Yin and Yang Acupuncture and Rune Wind Healing Arts today in Lincoln at 1701 South 17th Street in Suite 3G.
At Koppel, during the holidays, we take time to cherish our terrific staff, community, and loyal customers that continue to drive that money-saving mile to Louisville, Nebraska. Hi, this is Sean Callahan. I can proudly say I bought my car at Koppel. If you are in the area, I invite you to stop by Koppel Chevrolet GMC's offices in Louisville or check them out online at koppelcars.com. On behalf of Koppel Chevrolet GMC, Merry Christmas and safe travels to all.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, to brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We are back here on One-on-One with DP on a Monday as we get ready for a very busy week. As you mentioned, Austin, earlier today, we know Nebraska and Utah will play the final football game for Nebraska this season here on Wednesday, but a very exciting week for Nebraska basketball as well, as we kind of count down the days to Friday will be the big game with Michigan State.
You're not counting down the day to New Hampshire?
Well, it's just one day. But, I mean, that could be interesting as well. We just hope it's not. I think in that kind of category. Though we'll see. Maybe sounds like they're, Ugi Yurcevicius is available, but, at the last game, just starting to get back into it, so they didn't want to play him at that time. So maybe we'll see the first Ugi appearance before the end of the year.
End of the season, yes. End of the year, TBD.
Yeah, probably. We'll see if that happens one way or another. I don't know if I was trying to look to see if they had updated the polls yet, but I think Nebraska's still ranked number 13, like they were last week.
Believe so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have updated, not playing many games at this point.
Yeah, not. I don't think anybody or many teams played too many games last week, so that was through the Christmas break. But you're right, New Hampshire, at least a game to pay attention to tomorrow night. It'll be a late one, as will Michigan State, by the way. Both of those will be 8 p.m. tips. This will be tomorrow, of course, from Pinnacle Bank Arena, but again, don't want to overlook New Hampshire, but they're 4-8. If Nebraska loses if that's the one that knocks Nebraska off right before, obviously, a top 15 showdown with Michigan State, then we're all just going to be disappointed.
Yeah, which has not been the norm for this Nebraska men's basketball program the last 3 years. They've generally done a good job of avoiding disappointments like this. I mean, had a spot for a letdown at Creighton 2 years ago now, 2 matchups ago. Didn't do it, won on the road and won. Sure, maybe fell flat last year in East Lansing, Mackey Arena, but tough places to win. To see Nebraska, show some signs there. But at home, Nebraska's been pretty good. Last year's team, for all its warts, again, ended up winning 20 games. So I'm anticipating Friday being probably, Bach, the biggest game of Fred Hoiberg's tenure at Nebraska, at least to this point.
Yeah, it certainly feel like that or close to it. Again, there's obviously an NCAA tournament game, that sort of stuff circumstantially could be pretty big. But as far as a home game against Michigan, a top 15 matchup where Nebraska is building the program. But I do want to say this, because I am kind of looking over at New Hampshire, is that not to do that not because of New Hampshire, but because Nebraska at that time would conclude an undefeated non-con if they're able to get that done. And again, all likelihood is that they will. But that's not something to kind of be overlooked here as part of this 12-0 start for Nebraska. Of course, you have the wins against Wisconsin and Illinois to start off the conference 2-0 as well. But yeah, I wonder how often that's happened in Nebraska basketball history. Can't be too much.
Yeah, no, I'm scrolling back right now. So even the 2018-19 team, Tim Miles last year dropped the game, the neutral site to Texas Tech. And that would have been the one non-con loss for that group. The year before, 2017-18, Nebraska lost on the road at St. John's in the Gavitt games, then lost the opening round of their multi-team event against UCF and then losing to Creighton by 10 on the road and Kansas by 1 point at home as well. And that would have been probably the best shot. Obviously, that 13-14 team didn't make it through unscathed. They actually lost to UMass and UAB back-to-back before beating Georgia in a super consolation game in that multi-team event, lost at Creighton as well. So, and then at Cincinnati, actually, and I think that was just a return game, or maybe as the next year it happened. But yeah, no, it's super rare for Nebraska to make it through the non-conference unscathed. I would guess it hasn't happened since the 80s or 90s.
I would guess so too. So it's been a miraculous season for Nebraska thus far, and now it's just kind of about, okay, well, how much better can this get? And that's part of the reason I've been continuing to kind of say is I'm excited for this team because there's a couple pieces on it that should continue to grow, if not just grow within their role. And so this team that's ranked 13th, and it's such an odd spot for Nebraska fans to look at it. Obviously, eventually there's going to come a loss in the loss column, and so it might not. You can say, well, whatever is the peak or whatever, but I just feel like there's room to grow for this team to get better. It just feels good knowing that there's several different pieces that can kind of step up. I mean, we saw that with the last outing that they had. That was, this is a season that for the most part, your best players have been clearly Rink Mass and Price Sanford. I think they're fighting for, kind of all Big Ten recognition. But they were off a little bit, and it maybe partially led to a little bit of a deficit there against North Dakota at the beginning of the half. But the players that stepped up, obviously, remember that game they switched, kind of running the offense there through Berke. He was able to get the triple double, but Demarcus Lawrence was especially hot out of the break. Sam Hoiberg played a big part in putting some distance in that game. Braden Frager was the leading scorer in that game. Actually, other than the West Georgia game, that was the first time Frager was the leading scorer for Nebraska since the first game. So there's just so many options for Nebraska, even if one of your best players is having an off night, that they can fight through it. And again, that's changed kind of the narrative, and they had to fight through it themselves. Was kind of coming into the season, everybody, including myself, was saying, well, what happens if they don't make threes on a given night? And they've kind of proven that that's not the only way that they're able to get a win.
Do you have Nebraska stats up in front of you?
Yes.
Oh, I can't ask you the question.
Oh, well, I can take them down.
For the text line, what do you think Nebraska's 3-point percentage is this year? 402-464-5685. Bach, the thing that I want to see Nebraska come back with a renewed focus on out of the break is going to be free throw shooting. They're at 74% as a team, which is not atrocious. And they don't shoot a lot of them, but it's because Nebraska doesn't necessarily shoot a lot of them that I think Nebraska needs to have a better percentage than that 74. Part of that is Berke Boyutenjo gets fouled a lot and at a consistent free throw shooter. Even, a guy like Rink Mast on the season, he's at 80%. I would have guessed a little lower than that. That's fine. But Rink's at 80%, Price Sanford at 89, and Braden Frager at 84. I mean, Demarcus Lawrence is shooting 65% on free throws and only shooting 1.5 per game. He's got to get downhill more, and that's got to be at 80%. Sam Hoiberg only shooting 2 free throws a game at 68%, right? Berke at 66%. Okay, fine, whatever. You live with that from a big man who we know has some shooting and touch issues. You look at Jared Garcia, he's at 86%. That's solid, but he's going to be a low volume guy. Cale Jacobson, depending on how much he plays, is only at 53% from the free throw line. Nebraska's system is such that they don't get to the free throw line much, but there have been some times, Bach, where I'm just holding my breath for Nebraska at the free throw line, missing front ends, not converting 1-and-1s. That could come back to bite this team. And it's a little thing, and it's not nearly as bad as it was for the first few years under Fred Hoiberg. But man, I do still kind of hold my breath when most of Nebraska's players go to the free throw line. Big Bank Hank is close at 32. Cubsker 39% is way too high. 25-63. Bach is actually the closest. Nebraska right now, as a team, is shooting 34.9% from three. Sub 35%, right in that ballpark. You would have thought coming into the year that would have been the death knell for Nebraska if they're not up a little bit higher than that in the 36, 37, maybe even 38% range. but they're getting away with it. Because why? Because they're shooting 31 threes per game. They're still getting their points from three. Yes, they come in spurts. No, Nebraska hasn't had a game in a while where it's been hot in both halves, just shooting the absolute cover off the ball. But this is the gambit for Nebraska. I think they are who they are as a team. Maybe they get a little bit better through the course of the year. Maybe they get a little bit worse when the defenders get longer, more in tune with what Nebraska is going to do. But I think Nebraska is a 35% three-point shooting team, pretty truly. And that's fine because of the number they take. If they were a 35% three-point shooting team on 20 attempts per game or 23 attempts per game, that's a problem. Teams are going to dare you to shoot. But when Nebraska's taking 31 threes per game, you make 35% of them, that's like 10 on the low end to 12 on the high end of what you're shooting for your percentage. And that's fine. That's 30 to 36 points from three every game. So if Nebraska is going to shoot 37, 38% from three on 31 attempts per game, they will be unstoppable. But if Nebraska shoots, 37, 38% from three on 20 attempts per game, teams have really thrown a wrench into Nebraska's plans.
Have you been able to look at Michigan State so much this year to kind of see how they compare? Because they do have some of the similar statistics that Nebraska does, as far as Michigan State's 35.7 from beyond the arc. I was looking at both their assist categories, 19 assists each for each team. Nebraska doing a little bit better job of protecting the ball at this point. But 78 points per game for Michigan State, 83 for Nebraska. And they've got a few different guys. It seems like they're kind of more kind of a spread out team, if you will. They've got 4 different guys in double figures, but the top guy, Jackson Kohler, only at 14 points per game there. What have you been able to break down too much of Michigan State as of yet?
So this is going to be something Jay and I are going to do on Friday. I'm not going to give away the whole goose. There are a lot of interesting similarities between Nebraska and Michigan State, but some really key differences. My theory of the case is that Fred Hoiberg, we know his son Jack was up there in East Lansing with Tom Izzo for a while. My theory of the case is that Fred Hoiberg saw a lot of what Michigan State did to be one of the most consistently successful programs in the Big Ten and copied what he liked from up there. Like, hey, this is some of the formula to win in the Big Ten. Coach Izzo probably has some of this right, but also said, here's what I can tweak. Here's what I'm more comfortable coaching. Because you mentioned the percentage similarities. Yeah, Michigan State shoots 35.7% from three, but guess what? They are 300th in three-point rate. They only shoot threes about 1/3 of the time. So better percentage, lower volume. They don't rely on the three. They also give up a lot of threes, kind of like Nebraska does. Not quite as many Michigan State allows, but still north of 44% of opponent shots come from three for Michigan State. Where the difference is if Nebraska is going to rely on shooting and spread out offense, Michigan State's going to crash the glass. They're the number 1 team in the country in defensive rebound rate allowed and number 8 in the country in offensive rebound percentage. That's what they do with their 2 bigs. Nebraska does something completely different. We know Michigan State's always going to want to thrive in transition, even with the 2 big men on the court, whereas Michigan State is sending those 2 big men to the glass offensively. Nebraska is getting them back to guard against defensive transition, where we know Michigan State likes to live, which even with that, Michigan State bottom like 20% in the country, bottom 15% in tempo. They will play slow. They will bleed you to death. They will get a good look at the rim come hell or high water. And Nebraska doesn't play much faster than that as well. Nebraska's got an average tempo of about 70 possessions per game. Michigan State is all the way down at about 66 possessions per game, which, when you think about it, makes sense. Michigan State wants to play slow and maul you, right? They will create extra possessions on the offensive glass. Nebraska, on the flip side, likes a very free-flowing game, doesn't like a bunch of stoppages, will play faster than Michigan State, but isn't exactly hunting transition opportunities or playing, 7 seconds or less, Mike D'Antoni ball.
Well, I'm glad I asked the question. Very, very good breakdown. Still left some there for you on Friday as well, as you were saying. So very interesting, exciting matchup. Michigan State 3-1 against top 25 opponents so far this year with just the 1 loss to Duke. Nebraska is now one of those top 25 opponents. Don't forget
3-2
as we're going into that game. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll wrap up one-on-one. Bach of the Black Shirt will be after that. Coming up on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One on One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's that time of year when one episode turns into just one more season, when dessert turns into dinner, and time doesn't exist until the clock strikes midnight. Wait, what time is it? It's time to finish strong. At Planet Fitness, we're not waiting for the new year to give it everything we've got. Enjoy 24-hour access at most clubs when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime, and pay nothing until January 17th. Deal ends December 31st. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Is your furnace ready for winter? Call Bryant to perform a thorough check for comfort and peace of mind. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Whatever it takes.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement. Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical solution, A&I parts from Landmark deliver the dependable performance you can count on with cost savings up to 40%. From filters and bearings to belts and everyday repairs, A&I parts are built to work as hard as you do while helping stretch your budget further. Stop by your local Landmark Implement parts counter today or shop online anytime at shop.deere.com and experience the Landmark difference.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
At Koppel, during the holidays, we take time to cherish our terrific staff, community, and loyal customers that continue to drive that money-saving mile to Louisville, Nebraska. Hi, this is Sean Callahan. I can proudly say I bought my car at Koppel. If you are in the area, I invite you to stop by Koppel Chevrolet GMC's offices in Louisville or check them out online at koppelcars.com. On behalf of Koppel Chevrolet GMC, Merry Christmas and safe travels to all.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey, Lincoln and the surrounding area. Yin and Yang Acupuncture and Rune Wind Healing Arts is now open at 1701 South 17th Street in Suite 3G and ready to help you improve your general health. If you're experiencing pain, headaches, or any other issues, give Yin and Yang Acupuncture a call today at 402-480-1014 to schedule your appointment. For those struggling with deep tissue pain or just need an experienced massage therapist to melt the stress away, call Rune Wind Healing Arts at 402-601-9721 and schedule your appointment now. Visit Yin and Yang Acupuncture and Rune Wind Healing Arts today in Lincoln at 1701 South 17th Street in Suite 3G. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We are back to wrap up one-on-one here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bachman. He's Austin Orban. Thanks again, Austin, for jumping with me
Anytime.
on one-on-one. We did just talk about the Nebraska men's basketball program and their week ahead with New Hampshire tomorrow evening, and then the Friday night top 15 matchup against Michigan State. Should be noted as well that the women are undefeated and have their own matchup this week, a big one, a big week, as they will take on two ranked opponents in the next couple of games, one being about an hour away. Nebraska and USC will play on Big Ten Plus here from, of course, Pinnacle Bank Arena. Nebraska 12-0 and 1-0 in the Big Ten against the 9-3 and 1-0 USC Trojans. USC coming in ranked 17th. Nebraska ranked 20th. So at some point, again, our men's and women's programs probably will lose this year. Hopefully it is not today for the Lady Huskers as they get going against the Trojans.
This, for Nebraska women's basketball, Bach, feels to me kind of like the Nebraska-Michigan State game 2 years ago, the tournament team for the men's side. A good team in Michigan State that came in, definitely not the peak of their powers. It's certainly in a more advantageous position for Nebraska. Weird time of day for a game, long travel, off a break for both teams, and even USC has a few days between games after this as well. This feels like a moment for Nebraska women's basketball, again, with the highest ranking they've ever received under Amy Williams, her entire tenure. This is year 10. They've got their highest ranking against a team that is good, still plenty of talent, down maybe the headliner in Juju Watkins, obviously. But it feels like this is a USC team that is as gettable as it could be for Nebraska. Certainly last year's West Coast road swing with USC and UCLA, as good as those two teams were, didn't go Nebraska's way. But revenge on the mind, best player out, weird time of day, Nebraska playing pretty well. A lot to play for, a lot on the line for Nebraska in this one. Certainly not crushing if this is where the storybook ride comes to an end. But this is a great opportunity for Nebraska women's basketball, I think, to push through that hill, to get over it and knock off a certainly talented USC team.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, as we kind of broke down what Michigan State has done against ranked opponents so far this year, you look at USC, they beat number 9 North Carolina State by a point in early November, lost to South Carolina, who's number 2 at the time, did lose at number 24 Notre Dame, beat number 21 Washington here earlier this month on the 7th, and then lost the number 1 UConn Huskies December 13th. So they've been they've been tested. We'll put it that way early on in the season, and they've come back with some pretty good wins, and of course a few losses there against some of the top 5 teams in the country. So we'll see where that lands today for the Nebraska women's basketball team. See if they can get that done. We'll certainly kind of keep track of that over here in the next hour or so. The last thing I wanted to talk to you, Austin, about before we get out of here is a former NBA player now playing with the Baylor Bears. A sign of the times, of course, in the changes in college sports. So Scott Drew and the Baylor staff have recently signed James Nagy, I think is how you pronounce that. And he, at one time, was the 31st pick of the 2023 NBA draft. But because he never played an NBA game or signed a contract in the G League or in the NBA, because he still was playing overseas, this is possible. We've also seen 2 G League players sign this past fall with Louisville. So it's a bit of a strange cycle now that the NCAA finds itself in. This kind of more than anything feels like the NCAA is losing their hold of what's kind of going on, roster management, their power, all that.
It really does. And I've heard the theory floated out there. The NCAA wants this to happen so it can get the governmental oversight it's craving, because it clearly can't put the cat back in the bag, the toothpaste back in the tube, whatever it is you want to say. But that's why I propose, Bach, just age limits. Age limits for college, right? We have those to an extent in youth sports. We have them to an extent in high school sports. Bring it to college. I think it's okay. The guy didn't sign an American contract, whatever. That's a loophole. So be it. We've seen plenty of guys, cough, cough, Brad Underwood, cough, cough, Illinois, cough, cough, come over with professional experience in Europe and play. And technically that's all Najee has right now. It looks super dumb. The fact that he was drafted the first pick of the second round in an actual honest to goodness NBA draft and can come over and play college basketball. But Okay, so be it. I don't want to see college basketball turn into the draft and stash league. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's good for the sport, either one of them, either level of the sport. But okay, sure, James Najee gets to play. He gets 1 year. He's a 3-year foreign professional. That's my thing. If maybe you can stretch college to 24 at the best, right? But if you've played professionally anywhere, I don't care where, if you've signed a contract to play professionally anywhere, you avoid your redshirt year, you avoid your injury year. If you're a European coming over who, okay, maybe you've been in the club system, but not actually played with the big, parent club, whatever it is, fine. You can come over at 18 and be a freshman with your redshirt year and your medical year available to you. But if you're 21 like Najee and you've played 3 years overseas, you don't get a redshirt year. You don't get a medical redshirt year. You get your 1 year of eligibility. You're 22. You get out. You find what it is you can do. It can't be that hard.
It can't be, but again, it's
but
what
it is.
What? Yeah, that's why, like you said, we said it for years with college sports is, the goal needs to be clear of what that is, and it never really is. And now we've seen money kind of take over as the primary goal, and that's fine. Okay, business is big enough, whatever. Well, then let's put it that way. I always think the funniest thing is when players get drafted, you talk about free agency, or it's kind of this idea of like, well, they should choose where they live. I mean, this is where they're going. And the reality has to come back to, yeah, but you're playing in our league. You're playing in our system. So you have to abide by our rules. And so you don't get to just freely choose, where you want to go, especially, in free agency and professional leagues, obviously a little bit different in college sports. But, then it kind of gets into this like age restriction. What are we looking for? As we move from college sports into kind of more of a professional model, do we still want it to be college age sports? Is that the primary goal? And so, like, what is it that we're doing? Do you want it to be a level below the NBA? Like you said, there's different things to do. And it's not, the other problem with it is it shouldn't be a uniform decision for every sport altogether. And that's why I've been arguing for the breakaway from football, because basketball, especially, obviously a very profitable, sport itself in college basketball. And they're just reacting to all these changes that are best for football, and football all these years later after all these changes is one gigantic mess. It's not a whole lot better than what it was. So you're not even doing what's best for football. You're doing what's best for each entity to make more money in different. And so it kind of just comes back to like, what is the goal here? And I don't know if there's a unified goal.
Well, Railroader Matt chimes in, would there be an age waiver for military personnel? I think that is such a small subset here that, yes, it's certainly worthy of consideration, but it goes to Bach's point. What is the point? If you're doing your military service and you want to come back and play college athletics, great, cool, give it a go. You have your eligibility, right? I mean, can it be put in the same boat as like the Mormon missions, right? For BYU, who primarily takes advantage of those. I don't love it, but if you haven't used any of your college eligibility playing a sport, number one, okay, fine, you can go for it. But why would you want to? Why would college sports want to, right? You made your choice. Choices come with trade-offs. You can't have everything in this world. It's impossible to do. I just wish that we as a society, we're okay with trade-offs. We're okay with the middle ground. That's where I want college sports to get back to, Bach, is that in between of high school to the pros. It's leaning way too far one way for my liking right now.
It is definitely interesting and different changes. Certainly makes radio a little bit more intriguing and easier to do, at least in that case, because there's plenty to talk about. So that is one benefactor, one trade-off for us here, us radio folks. But that'll wrap it up for One-on-One. Bach in the Black Shirt coming up next year with Terrell Farley and myself. Don't go anywhere.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings, thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement. Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical